Hi YouTube, we're Marko with Marko Custom Built Models, coming today with a question. What happens when you mix one transit mixer with another transit mixer and a white Freightliner J-cab cab over? Well, stay tuned and I'll show you. You get an extra long barrel. As you can see, there's two of them spliced together here, and a Freightliner J-cab cab over. Check that out. I think that is a thing of beauty right there. Now this is what you get when you mix two of the transit mixers and one cab over Freightliner. This is my creation that I've seen a picture on the internet and basically mimicked that particular truck that I've seen, and there's a couple variations of it, maybe about 5 pictures in total that I found, and basically that's the truck. I thought, man, the proportions of that, it looks big, it looks really cool. I love cab over trucks, so for me that was something I wanted to put together. I saw this picture here on the internet one day and I was intrigued by the truck layout as well as the color scheme, and it's an inland cement truck, and when the transit mixer came out, I've had the day cab Freightliner for a long time on my shelf, and this transit mixer came out, and I had the opportunity to get two of them, and so here it is. So since I've done the video over Christmas, New Year's, I have been working on this when I had time, and let's get to it and show you what all had come about to make this and what I've done. So first off, let's talk about this this truck here. We got 4-wheel steering on it, and we have also dual tandems in the rear. I've been a couple of my truck friends that build models that's all they build is trucks. They talk about the suspension in this being the Hendrix is a little light for this particular build, but I could get one cast up that's heavier. Anyway, I ended up just going with this. I'm not getting too fussy with this model, otherwise I would be changing even the wheels, because I would be putting 6-spoke wheels on it instead of the 5, and then where does it end, right? So let's just get to it and see what I've done. So basically, this is all ready here for paint. I do have to get the fenders on that, and I'll talk about that, but right off the bat, this transit mixer unit pops off here, and so you have the truck separate from the mixing unit, so they can be all painted separate, as well as the barrel comes off, and the barrel's not finished. I want to show you a few things about that, so let's get that off. Just pop that out of there. One thing I did on the chassis here that holds all of the cement mixing stuff is I just put a brass pin here and drilled this out so that let me get my hand behind there so you can focus, and made that so that when it goes together and I glue it all together, that pin doesn't break off. Another thing I've done here too is added some details where there wasn't any detail. Basically, I used an extra set of wheel hub caps. Under here there was a hole. I used one to act like a bearing cap for the end of this shaft, and also one for the end of the front of the cement mixer barrel. Just add some detail. It may or not be correct, but that's what I did. The water tank here is actually 2 tanks from both kits. You can see a seam line here. That seam line is the middle of both tanks, and then I just used end caps. The end caps that come in the kit are like this, and I cut this ring off here and then glued this and smoothed out the tank. And then these supports I had actually just scratch built and glued them on there. I drilled a hole in the bottom of the tank, one so that the vapors from the glue will vent, and 2, this will be the line that comes out of the tank. This brace here is for the oil reservoir tank for the hydraulic system. The kit tank is kind of not very good, so I'm going to scratch build one. It's just a basic rectangle, nothing too fancy. On the other end here we have our chute and the loading chute and the gathering as it comes out of the cement barrel. This also pivots to be positioned. One of the things about this is that this comes with a kit piece like this, and it's actually too short. I had it glued on to begin with, and what happened is when you go to install this, this would change lengths as you went from the side to the center back, so you could not move it if you glued that into position. So I had to scratch build one out of some styrene and put it in there, so that makes that happen. Okay, so one of the other things I had to do too was move these wheels. They are kind of cast into the plastic. I had trimmed them off, put a flat piece of styrene down to kind of cap off the hole that's there, and then re-glued on the wheels to position them forward so they ride on this part of the barrel here. Okay. Everything else is basically, of course, keep in mind when you lengthen the barrel, you also change the angle of the barrel. So that is why these wheels got changed, strictly because of the angle of that barrel that changes. And these bases got sanded a little bit just to fit a little bit better to make that happen. Let's move on to the barrel. Here's the barrel. It comes apart right now. I used some styrene to glue in on the seam and also to make a lip, so when I go to glue these two together it fits together snug. Also, it's allowed me to install these sort of mixing screws at the end that you see. These are a pain. I don't know if you've ever tried to put a set of these in on one of these, but they really don't, they're not easy to put in when you're putting the barrel together. This is without it. This is the barrel that I cut for one end. That's the barrel that I cut off the other end, and then use the two and made them together just to add that extra length in here. This allows me also, one, allows me to put the screws in here, and two, I can paint the inside of this barrel, glue all this together, and then do the body work on the outside of this barrel and paint it. And then when you look down on the inside, it'll be silver or aluminum color or steel or whatever on the inside, instead of being like overspray in plastic. Because once you glue this together, it's not very easy to get paint work done inside this barrel. Also, the lines line up on the side here, the seams. I'm actually going to, I put a pencil line there. I'm going to rotate the seams 90 degrees. One is for strength, and two, I'll be able to body work the sides. When this is in there, this will be facing up, and then I just have this one seam. You know, the other seam will be body worked as well, but this will be basically one that has to be perfect. This barrel could spin on the model, but it's not going to when I'm done. The gear goes on the front here, and it'll probably have to be glued on, and then once that pin goes on, this will not be spinning at all, so it'll be just in position, and that'll be the way that is. So yeah, that's on the barrel. So the biggest reason why I needed two transit mixers was, one, to be able to lengthen the barrel and make a longer cement barrel, and then number two would be for the front axles to be able to double them up and have matching identical axles to make the twin steer setup. So I'll just pop this back together here. Also on the chassis here, what I had done, there's a joint here where the one ends, that's the original length, and then I added a section off of the other one and put it up at the front, and also made it longer than just going to the front of the holder for the mixing barrel, but also to add all the other little things to it, like the water tank and things like that. The water tank on the original kit would be on the side of the truck down off the frame. In this case, I wanted it part of this assembly, so it's like that picture. Easy to put back together well, this is in this scenario, you just this isn't glued to the chassis, so there's flex allowed here, and you can stick that together. Okay, and that sits like that. And as you can see, this barrel rotates and clears everything with no problem. Okay. Also, I glued on alignment tabs on the inside, so when it fits on the chassis, it just aligns nice. I did it in 4 locations. Put that aside. Okay. And then here's the truck. One of the things I'm doing is doubling up on the fenders. Because I have 2 kits, I have an extra set of fenders that I'd cut up. Here's the rear fender on the truck, and it will go on the truck just like that. Okay, and then what I did was cut the other fender up, and I chamfered the front corner here. I cut the other fender in half, and then chamfered the front corner here, and that will allow me to make a fender to go on behind the cab, so it will look something like that. Okay. Also, there'll have to be a set of flares made here because of the wider tire assembly. It does stick out beyond the cab a little bit. Okay, so that's something that will be addressed. These are the plastic tires that come in the kit with the wide offset on those Dayton wheels. So the cab tilts forward on this, and the way it does that is it has the pivot point on the grill. Okay, and that I can pop off. So let me just pop this cab off. What I've done on the cab is made the grill so it can slide out like this by gluing locating tabs on the inside, which allows the grill to then slide in here snugly and not fall out, and so that can all be painted separate and detailed up. I did opt to glue on the Freightliner emblem and the headlight rings, which I can pick off with paint after the model's painted, and then I don't have to worry about them falling off with glue drying out and so forth. So let's do that. Also on the step, it did come with this clumsy looking step that would glue in there, so I fabricated my own step support, and then there's a plate that'll go on the back side. Okay, just to make it a little better. This is the older truck where it does have the door handles up here. Later on they moved them down into the bottom of the door. I'm not going to change that. The era of the cement mixer and the era of the cab will sort of match. Yeah, that's why I kept the chain drive on the cement mixer. You could make it just a hydraulic pump that turns it, but then it wouldn't really match the era. There's a bit of body work to do on this cab, this body lines here. It's not too bad to fix that gap, but these rivets don't line up. If you look, they're kind of offset. So I may sand all the rivets off just on the roof, smooth out the roof cap, and then just leave everything else on the sides and the back, just because of how bad that seam looks. Alright, also the interior, I made little tabs to hold it in place, so it can slide out and then snap into place like that. There still has to be all the detail and paint work done. One of the things I did for the interior, glued in this panel here. It doesn't come in the kit, and by doing so it has a design on it, and it also creates a stop so the cab doesn't sink into it's got a nice firm grip there, and then when I put the windows in and stuff like that, this can snap together, and I don't have to glue it together if it ever needs to be fixed. If a steering wheel falls off or something, it can easily be serviced, right? That's the whole idea. Alright, so that's the cab. And then this is getting down to the chassis and engine. The engine is a Cummins. This is the engine that came in the Kenworth kit. It's basically the same engine that comes also in the Freightliner kit, but this one is turbocharged. So I wanted to keep the turbocharged engine. So combining, looking at the other kit and making it work, some different modifications to the pulley so it fits in the mount there, and also the tranny mount location pins all got modified so that the engine sits in there correctly. Not much to talk about. This whole thing gets painted coming beige. There's a couple more details that have to be glued on. The fan is removable. I put a brass pin on there so that the fan doesn't just fall off. Put a little tab of glue. Once it's painted, that'll be on. I can pick off the detail with paint. Other than that, this just gets basically painted all one color, Cummins beige. There's a couple of filters and things that have to be glued on the side, and then this engine is complete. Okay. The chassis is a mix of Kenworth, and I still have to get rid of the KW on the back because now being a Freightliner we don't want to see the KW, but that's easy to fill and sand out. The basically this was the original truck chassis here. I cut that off there, and then I used off of the shortened chassis for the Freightliner. This is all that I cut off the back. That holds the rear suspension, and between the two you'll see a seam here and a seam on the other side, which is mostly hidden by this suspension piece here. So this is all sanded smooth. You see the line, but you don't feel it. That's filled with super glue and sanded out. There's a little bit of a piece there that has to be just touched up, but no big deal. Then this is doubled up front Kenworth suspension. The brake drums are already painted the dark blue, which the whole chassis will be painted. And the wheels are also already painted white and detailed. I'm not making this a dirty build, so they're just clean white. I did do something that I don't think anybody has done, or I haven't seen it done, and this is now the second truck I've done it to, but I haven't shown you the other one, is I've drilled the front end to put a steel axle through. It goes through the axle and then through the suspension and across, and that keeps allows you to put a steel axle pin through there. And then I used another set of brake drums and narrowed them up and put them on there so that the wheels don't fall off the model kit. These trucks are fairly heavy and awkward, and sometimes you set them down and the front wheels break off. So the idea behind the steel pin is to just keep it nice and true, but you do lose a little bit of detail because this would not actually be there on the real truck. But that aside, it was worth it for me just to do that. If you've seen a lot of my builds, everything goes on steel axles. That's just something I do. So same goes for the big trucks. So there's the chassis. I still have detail to do. I still have to glue on. There's locations for the steering gear, and I have to do the steering box as well as the steering gear for the side. I'm doing a little bit of research right now to find out exactly how that steering gear should look. With the four-wheel steering, it is a little bit difficult to find good literature and images on that, so when I get that figured out, it'll happen. There you go. Chassis, I took off a lot of the locating nubs that stuck out because I'm going to put the fuel tanks where I want to put them and so forth. So once that takes place, then they will go on this truck. The fuel tanks are just going to be the kit tanks with really no modification. Just smooth them out. They don't have to have any steps or anything like that on them. There's that rear suspension in there. And again, this can all be taken apart. Like the axles can be taken out like so. I still have the brake pods and stuff to put on, and then this all gets spray painted that dark blue. So other than that, basically the way the kit came on the back side, just built. And so that's the chassis there. So there you have it. Those are all the pieces to the build. If you like to comment and leave any sort of comments about it down below, I'd love to read the comments and see what you think. Anyway, just how it goes back together, just like that. And then the cement mixer deal Goes on the back. Okay, there you go. See with those locating pins, it makes it easy to line up. And there you go. That's the cement truck. Well, there you have it. The Freightliner cement truck with the quad steer. The only thing I'd like to do, would be neat to build, is that set of wheels that come on the back that flip down, but I haven't found very good images of how that works or how it's put together. So I may still add that, but we'll see. If not, I'm happy with this. I'm just going to get it together and paint it for you guys so you can see a finished product. Again, I'm the guy I start a lot of projects, and I don't always get all of them done right away, and sometimes I'm waiting for ideas or something comes to me. This thing, basically, I know the colors it's got to get painted. I even picked up some paint that I'm going to use to get it done. I got the this dark blue, which is a Duplicolor color. I saw it when I was over at Bumper to Bumper, and it looks like the light blue will be this GM engine blue. I think that will work for the light blue, and then the white. And so I have white paint. Again, it's just another can of I think it's Krylon. Yeah, there's the Krylon white, which I used on the wheels. So it's for plastic, so this seems to work pretty good. Doesn't cause any sort of crazing or anything like that. So there you have it. That's the cement truck. So the next video on this will be finished, painted, and all done. So anyway, if you like these videos, please subscribe, hit that like button, ring that bell for notifications. Have yourself a great day, and thanks for watching.